Yummy. All right, kiddos. Much like we did on Friday, now we're on the right lesson today, chapter 5, lesson 3, which is the problem solving investigation. And as I've often said with you guys, and even with myself, sometimes the word problems are the ones we struggle with the most, trying to be able to look at and find what we actually need. So the strategy today, again, is how can I use place value and properties to add and subtract decimals. All right, so we're going to learn the strategy, and you can see here it says estimate or exact answer is kind of what we're looking at today. So Mrs. Trainer needs to purchase a classroom response clicker and a new calculator. What year is this? Response clicker.
Response clicker?
Yeah.
I don't even know what that is.
Asher Owens, your mom's in the room as I'm recording this. All right, so I don't know. Anyway, a clicker costs $31.99 and a calculator costs $11.75. Again, even I don't a response clicker. I don't know what that is, but I think I know what it is. But I don't. Yeah. And about this is the keyword about how much money will it cost to buy both. Now, on the last test, a lot of you guys, you're like, do I estimate this or do I? Well, again, if it says about, that's kind of your keyword right there. You want to see about how much money will it cost, and that means you're going to estimate. And I know I've said before, I'm not one to like estimating because I want an exact answer usually, especially if we're talking about money. But in this sense, just do it. All right. So anyway, understand it. What facts do you know? I mean, this is the way we do it every single time. What facts do we know? And remember, I always circle stuff right here, just the numbers there, so that I know, like, I'm looking for those numbers. And as it says right here, Mrs. Trainer we already know that she needs to buy a clicker for $31.99 and a calculator for $11.75. What do you need to find out? Well, again, it says about. Usually it's the last sentence in the whole paragraph is about how much will it cost to buy a clicker and a calculator. And when you say plan, well, we can plan, we can estimate, right? We can estimate the cost of a clicker and a calculator. So to solve this, we're going to round. All right, we're going to round. Round the cost of the clicker and the calculator to the nearest whole dollar. Now, remember we did that on Friday. When I said the nearest whole dollar, that's going to be the ones place right there. Okay, the nearest whole. So with that, what that means is that we're going to look over at our 9. That is obviously 5 or more, so we're going to raise that 1 to a 2. So we're going to have $32, because obviously that's closer. As you can look at money, you can see that's closer to $32 than it is $31. Hopefully you see that. And then again, you can look at this and see the $11.75 hopefully is closer to 12 than it is 11. But if you don't, you can look at this number right next to it, which is a 7. And that means you're going to round that 1 up to a 2, so you have $12. So then we're going to find the estimated total cost by just taking $32 and $12 and adding them together, which gives us obviously a total of $44. Pretty simple, right? So she will need to spend about $44 for the 2 items. Now, the backside. This is where we got to do it on our own. This is where it gets interesting. Madison. Maddie Gator, she drove to her grandparents' house in a stolen vehicle that she took from her other grandparent. So, Maddie, you're in trouble now. But she drove her car to her grandparents' house. She drove 58.6 miles in the first hour. So she just didn't drive across the neighborhood. She drove 58 miles. She drove to Indianapolis. 67.2 miles in the second hour. Oh, she's even further now. And then 60.5 miles in the third hour. They followed the same route to return home. About how far? Again, this is the about. So if I were doing this problem, which I am doing this problem, but if I were doing it on my own, I would underline it anyway, because it's like, okay, that's about. And then I would have circled that, I would have circled that, and I would have circled that. So what facts do we know? Well, we know that she drove 58.6 miles. She drove, what was that, 67? I marked through it. Yeah, 67 to 10 miles. And then she also drove 60 and 5/10 miles. She did drive that much. The family did. So, what do we need to find out? Well, it says right here the last about how far did they travel. So, how far roughly did they travel? Question mark. Question mark. All right. So we're going to plan it. So to plan it, we're going to basically we got to think about what we got to do here. Well, this is it says there she followed the same route home. So we have to basically. So the plan is let's add up the estimates, and then we'll have to. Looks to me like if she goes there, well, you got to come back, right? If you go somewhere, you got to come back, so you're gonna have to double it, and then double it, and double it. All right. So then we need to solve. So we're gonna round all these. So we're gonna look at 58.6, 67.2, 60.5, and we're going to round these all to the nearest whole number, of course. That's just the easiest way. So we're going to round these right here to the nearest whole. So we look over here at the 6, so which that means it's going to go, I'm going to do 59. Okay. My book tells me 60, but I'd rather just do 59. This one, we're going to look at the 2, which means it stays at 67. And then we're going to look at this, and this is going to be changes to a 61. And we can add all of these things ourselves. So we can say, let's add 59 and 61 together, and we're going to get 0, 120. So we added that one and that one. And then we have 67. So we got 7, 8, and 1. So that's 187. However, remember we have to double it. So we got to do 187, and we're going to double it. You can either add 187 or you can times it by 2. So this will be 14, 16, that's 17, that's 3. So the answer is 374 miles that Maddie drove her family to her grandparents' house. 374 miles. Applying the strategy. All right, so determine whether you need an estimate or an exact answer. So that's our first thing. On this one here, a restaurant can make 95 dinners each night. The restaurant has been sold out for 7 nights in a row. How many dinners were sold during this week? Well, guess what? There's no about here, right? So we're going to have to find an exact answer here. So we're going to write exact right there. And then we have to decide how we're going to do this. So a restaurant can make 95 dinners each night. The restaurant has been sold out for 7 nights in a row. How many were sold during this week? Well, how many nights are in a week? 7, right? So we need to decide, well, 95 dinners. So let's take 95 dinners times each night times 7. So that's going to give us a 35. Carry the 3, 63, 66. So 665 dinners they sold during that week. Okay. Again, we're going to look for keywords here. A gardener has 35 feet of fencing to enclose the garden shown below. That one. All right. About how much fencing will be left over after the garden is enclosed. So we look at that word about. So that means we're going to have an estimate. Estimate. Okay. So since we're going to estimate, it means we're going to round all these to the nearest whole number and then add them, right? So we're going to, let's estimate this to a 5 because it's closer to 5, right? This one's pretty close to 4. This one's closer to 8. This one's close to 8. And this one's close to 5. So then we add all those up. We say 5 plus 5 plus 4 plus 8 plus 8. If we add all those together, we have 10. We have 16, which is 10, and 16 is 26 plus 4 is 30. Is that right? Let's see. 5, 5, 4, 8, and 8. Okay. Yeah. So that would give us 10, 14, 22, 30. 30. Okay, this is about. Okay, 30. And that's because we rounded up and down on some of those right there, of course. And then if we actually, it said that we had 35 feet total. That's what he bought. If we estimate it, that means 35 minus 30 equals 5 left over. Okay. I'm going to do one more here with you guys, and I'm going to let you guys go on your own here. A family is renting a cabin for $59.95 a day for 3 days. About how much will they pay for the cabin? Well, again, that keyword is about, so that means we're going to estimate because it says about. So we're going to round this. I see that immediately. I'm going to say for 3 days, we're going to round that to, and you can look to the nearest whole dollar. So that means you're going to look at that, which means this is going to be a 0. Hopefully you see that that's going to round up to a 60. Okay, so 60 times the 3 days, which is pretty easy. It's 0. It's 18. So they'll about pay roughly $180. Okay, roughly. Again, with these problems, guys, you just have to think about what it is that you have to do. If you got to estimate, if you got to find the exact answer or not, and then you have to kind of plan it out in your head. You got to say, well, see, if you had to draw it out here, would have been on this other problem up here. You draw it out. Sometimes you just have to draw it out and see the picture in your mind. Let's do one more. 4 friends ordered 2 pizzas. So 4 friends ordered 2 pizzas. The cost of each pizza was $13.80. About how much will it cost for both? Okay, so about, again, we're going to estimate. So we're going to write estimate. I'm assuming it's going to ask you to do that on your homework as well. My guess is it's going to say decide which one you're going to do, and it's you have to do that. It says decide if you're going to estimate or not. So estimate 4 friends ordered 2 pizzas, the cost of each. So this is one of those things you don't need the 4 friends in there. Okay, that's not needed. So we're going to round $13.80. We're going to round to the nearest whole number. So we're going to look at this 8, and we're going to decide that that's more than 5. So we're going to change this to a 14. So each pizza was roughly $14, and they ordered 2 of those. So 14 and 14. So they roughly spent $28. Okay. So again, on your guys' homework, you're going to have kind of 2 things to do. You're going to have these 5 problems to do here. They are problem-solving problems. And then you're also going to have this check my progress to do. All right, I don't need to go through this check my progress with you, but you need to make sure that you focus, though, on rounding each decimal to the place specified or indicated. And then you need to round, again, these right here, you're going to round to the nearest 1. And then on the back side, you have some problem solving as well to do. So again, you're going to have your homework is going to be pages 319 to 322. Okay, so these 2 pages are your homework. When you're finished, make sure your name is up here and you staple it, and then you turn it in the math box.